Hey guys, this is Claudia here from the Bookkeeping Experts. I've been a bookkeeper for a long time and I love what I do. What I like the most is to be able to help business owners make sense of their finances. Today we're going to talk about a popular subject, and that is how can I record an unearned income, or in other words, a deposit. So let's suppose you have an events business and your client pays a deposit to guarantee the date. But we all know that the money is not earned yet until you actually perform the services, unless it's a non-refundable deposit. But if it is refundable just to reserve the day, you have to put that into a liability account. So how do I do that? That's what we're going to talk about today. All right, without much further ado, here we go to QuickBooks. Okay, there you go. All right, so let me make sure that I move myself out of the way. All right, and right, I want to make sure I'm not on your way. Okay, all right, so here we have our sample company, and that's just a few transactions that I see it here. So we're gonna pretend that these are deposits for a service that I have not provided yet. So, and it's, let's say it's a refundable deposit because the client will just pay me this money to reserve the day, and then if something happens I may have to refund it back. I don't know, for many of you that have event companies, during COVID, unfortunately some of the clients required those deposits back, and it was tough for everyone. So a lot of companies had to refund those deposits back because they haven't provided the service unless you had a clause in your agreement that says the deposit is non-refundable. Some of you had to refund the money. So the best way to treat it is that if you have a deposit that is refundable, you have to put it into a liability and do not touch that. It's a liability on your account, and you don't touch it. In case of emergency, you refund it back. Now, if you have a non-refundable deposit, then it is treated different. It's treated as a sale, but at the same time, I'll always recommend to keep some kind of reserve, because if something like COVID happens, we may, even for those non-refundable deposits, have to refund that. All right. So here we go. First, we're gonna create an account for the liability. Okay, so how do I do that, Claudia? Okay, let's go to the chart of accounts. Left hand side, you can click on accounts. We're gonna click on new account, and now this is going to be a liability account. So this is a new setup. This changed recently with QuickBooks Online. We're gonna you have different kinds of accounts here: all your income, expense, banks, assets, credit card, liability, and equity. So we're talking about a liability here. If you, like I said, if your client is paying you a deposit to reserve the day, and it is a refundable deposit, it's definitely a liability, because if anything happens, you gotta refund it back. So I selected here as a liability. Another one that would be a liability as well is if you have a deposit for rental, like a rental deposit, you have to refund it. Most definitely is the liability account. If it is a long-term rental, you call it a long-term liability. If it's or over a year lease, call it a long-term liability. If it is 1 year or less lease, then it's a short-term liability. Now we're gonna call it other current liability. Okay. You can call it deferred revenue, or we can just call other current liability, because I have a name for this account. I want to name it deposits, just deposits. Or you can even say refundable deposits. Like I said, if it wasn't a refunded deposit, you can call it sales, but in this case it is. So we're calling it refundable deposit, and I don't have to put a description, and we're gonna go ahead and save. Okay, that's it. Now I created the account. Now I gotta create the products and service for that. So on the left hand side under sales, we are going to products and service, and we're going to create the service for the deposit. We're going to click on new products. It is definitely we can call it a service or non-inventory, definitely non-inventory, and I'm going to call it a deposit, or let's see, yeah, deposit. That's it, just deposit. Or and then there's no category, okay, so you don't have to worry about it. We're just gonna go straight to the income account. Now this is not an income, it's going to be a liability account, and that's the liability account we just created, which is deposit payable. Oh. Okay, refundable deposit, that's what I said. Okay, refundable deposit. All right, so that means that if whatever happens, the client wants the money back, I'll have to give it back. So that's why I called. It is non-taxable. So I want to click over here to make sure that this is non-taxable. And there it is, non-taxable, and done. I don't purchase this product, it's just a service. So save and close. Okay, so I have the product. Now I'm ready to create my sales receipt. Now remember, I already have, I'm going to duplicate the page here so we can go back and forth. I already have the money deposited in the bank. This is just a pretend account. It's right here, $200.55. So I'm going to create two of them, and then you'll be able to see how it works. All right, we're going to create a sales receipt. Yeah, you can do an invoice or you can do a sales receipt. The difference between an invoice and a sales receipt is that when you invoice a client, it means that the client has not paid yet. Now if the client already paid, you want to create a sales receipt. So I'll create an invoice because there's more step, because once I create the invoice, I still have to record the payment. So we are going to select a customer, Diego Rodriguez. We're gonna make it do on receipt. Remember that product that I just created, deposit? There it is. And remember that deposit is routed to a liability account. So what's gonna happen, the moment I record this payment, it's not going to go to income, it's going to go to that liability account. That's going to tell us you haven't earned this money yet. Okay, and it's for $200. And what was the date? Let's go back here. That was August 30th. Funny, it hasn't, well, it's today. Okay, August 30th. Okay, there it is. Yay. Okay, so I have everything and I can send it to my customer. So save and send. All right. Of course, it's not going to let me send it here because this is just a pretend. It's going to say, hey, this doesn't work. It's not a real account. Okay. Yeah, that's what it's saying. All right, so I send it. And, okay, let me move my picture a little bit here. Just to make sure you see here. So that's where I created the new account right here on the green, right? Okay, so this is the back to products and service, but don't worry about it. We don't need it. We're going to go back here, and I created that invoice. Now I'm going to receive a payment. Now, keep in mind with receiving payment, there's several ways to do it. First, you can go to the invoice. Remember, this was recorded as an invoice. You can go to invoices, and you can just click it by date over here. This is all filters, by the way. If you want the oldest, you click again, it's going to flip it. Look at this. Perfect. So this is the most recent invoice that I created. I can receive payment here, or I can click on the plus new, click on receive payment. Several ways to get to where you need to go. With QuickBooks, there's always more than one. QuickBooks Online, there's always more than one way to get to where you need to get. It's kind of like driving home. You can go the long way or the short way, whatever way you want. If you click on receive payment and you type Diego Rodriguez, that invoice is going to show up right away. Okay, we're going to record the payment as today. I'm going to select that invoice, and let's suppose that Diego sent me a check, and I'm going to record the payment to undeposited funds. I'm going to choose the payment method as check, and maybe I can even put the reference number as the invoice number, 1038, and we're going to save and close. So I just received the payment for $200, right? So now I said I have the next one, the $55. I'm going to do the same thing for somebody else. Somebody else paid me deposit for something else. So this time I'm going to do with a sales receipt. So it's pretty much invoice, sales receipt. It does the same thing. It has the same tools. The only difference is that here I'm saying I already received the money. So we're just recording that we received the money, maybe a check, and it's going to go, we're going to record the sales receipt to go to undeposited funds as well. Always to undeposited funds. Remember the workflow with QuickBooks. So we're going to select another. Yeah, let's select this customer here. I can't pronounce the name. We're going to say it was a check as well. And it's also a deposit. And I can put a description here. Paid deposit for photography, right? Something like that. And it was just $55 just to reserve the day. So let's make sure. So I'm going to go to banking. I'm working with two screens. Remember, you can bring your mouse all the way to the top, right click on the tab, and you can duplicate it here. See, yeah, can you see it? Okay, so all the way to the top, click and duplicate it. Makes it easy because you can go back and forth. See, if you're doing several things, that makes it so much easier. Yay. All right, so okay, so I have here $55 here, and this is September 29th. That's next month. Okay, that is kind of creepy if you ask me. Okay, let's see, but this is just pretend, so it doesn't matter. All right, on the 29th of September, that's when the payment will be received. Everything else is good here, and I could save and send to the client, but there's no email here, so I'm just gonna save it. Right? Okay, so I save it. That means that the deposit is here, and if I click on the plus new and bank deposit, that deposit is, the two deposits are going to be here. So I can select Diego, and Diego was on the 30th of August. I'm going to check the account, so this is the right account. And I'm going to save a new because I have one more. And I can select Dylan here, and Dylan's gonna be on September. Now, make sure when you record a payment that the payment reflects the date, when you record a deposit, kind of late. When you record a deposit, make sure that the deposit date and the amount of the deposit matches exactly what happened in bank. If this was deposited together, you had to select both of them and the date that you actually deposited the money. Okay, so always careful with that, because if not, it's not gonna match. And then if you don't match, you duplicate your income, and that's a problem. You don't want to pay more taxes than what you actually owe, right? That's a no-no. Okay, so dates are correct, account is correct, that's the right customer, and here we save and close. All right, so remember that when I created the invoice and I created sales receipt, I send it to deposits, which is routed to a refundable deposit, which is a short-term liability account or current liability, right? So it's very important to say that, because that's where the money is going to go when we accept the payment. So it's not sales because I haven't earned it. So I'm going to click on categorize and back to for review. Because I'm working with two screen, it doesn't automatically update. But when I click on categorize and for review, it updates for me. And look at that. It is matching. Love that. It's kind of crazy, but as an accountant, for me, it's very satisfying when I see match green. Oh, it's so good. So good. Means that everything worked out perfectly well. And what a beautiful thing. So we matched those two deposits. What happened to them? That's what we're going to see right now. So we're going to go to that account, remember? So we're going to go to accounting, chart of accounts, and we're going to type that account that we created, which is refundable deposits. And see that it says the balance is $255. We're going to go ahead and click on view. View the deposit, and there it is. There it is. Okay, I am so excited. Okay, now when the client actually, so this deposit is going to stay here until you earn the money. So let's suppose that now you want to send the invoice for the remaining balance that is due, right? So for the total, let's see the total cost of the rental. So you're going to create an invoice. Okay, and we're gonna do to Diego Rodriguez. We're gonna make it due on receipt, and this time it's gonna be sales, because that's the total cost of the rental. So we're just gonna select sales here, or service. Yes, service. Yes, we have service. This is design. That's okay. It's just I can create a new one, but yeah, let's create a new one, because that doesn't. Okay, it is a service. What is that? Wedding. What is that? Events rental. All right. We're gonna, so this one is service, so it's an income account, right? Yes, I sell the service to this client, and I'm gonna edit sales tax, because this product is, let's say, that is non-taxable. All right, some places it is taxable, some places it's not taxable, so it depends. If it is taxable, you want to make sure you make it taxable. If not, non-taxable. But for the purpose, well, let's make it taxable actually. We'll just make it taxable here. I got out of there, so let's create it again. Service, events rental, and service. So it's taxable. We'll leave it taxable. And I don't purchase this from anybody else, so that's why. Okay. If it's rentable, it is taxable, and let's say that it's $2,000 to rent the location. But remember that the customer already paid the deposit. So I want to reflect here that the deposit was already paid. So she doesn't have to pay $2,000. She only has to pay the balance of $1,800. So how do I do that? So I'm going to reflect here that this was already paid. So I'm going to put deposit here. But instead of putting a positive amount, I'm going to put a negative amount, meaning that I'm applying this deposit towards this total. So when I'm doing a negative amount, and I'm going to show you what happened. So now we have the balance as $1,800. See that? Perfect. We send and close, save and send. Send and close. Okay, so it's done. It's send. Now this was an invoice, and then we're gonna accept the payment on this invoice. So I'm gonna do a plus new invoice. So I always remember Diego Rodriguez. There he is. And oh, I'm sorry, I'm creating another invoice. That's not what I want. I want to receive payment. Okay, Diego Rodriguez. Okay, there it is. Okay, so remember, I already deducted that $200, so I can select here. I'm sending to undeposited funds, and I'm gonna save and close. All right. So what happened when I selected the payment on that invoice is that it did two things. It reflected that I received the $1,800 from the client. It also reflected the fact that I applied the $200 deposit into that invoice. So if you want to see it, we're going to go to that liability account, which is refundable deposit. Remember, now I used to have $255. Now I only have $55 because look, it just reflected that I used that deposit. See that? So we have the deposit here. This one, let's suppose that it hasn't paid the remaining balance yet, but I receive the remaining balance. If I click on that $200, it's going to take me to that invoice that has a deduction here and the payment of $1,800. And folks, that's it. So this is how you record a deposit that is refundable as a liability, a short-term liability on your account. So I hope that this was useful to you. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel. We like to bring content like that on a frequent basis, and by you giving a thumbs up and subscribing to our channel, you're supporting us, letting us know that, yeah, I like this. I want to keep watching videos like that, get instructed for free on YouTube, and staying up to date with the newest things that is going on with QuickBooks Online. So once again, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, share with your co-workers, and let us know if there is anything you'd like us to cover in the future. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. Really appreciate that. If you need help with your books because you have maybe a lot of things going on, you need somebody to clean up, feel free to contact us. If you want just to give it to somebody to get your books done, we can do that. We do have this is our specialty. That's what we do day in and day out. So you can focus on what you do best. We'll focus on what we do best. Or if you want some extra help on a one-on-one meeting, we have the information down below. You can hire us for a Zoom meeting where we can go over step by step individually Whatever you need, just give us a call. Contact us. Our phone number, our email is down below. Let us know how we can help you. And until next time, keep on smiling.